Hi, I'm Dr. Kim Logan-Nowlin.
I'm Arthur Nolan.
And welcome to Making It Work. Arthur, when you think about taking a journey and coming home again, what type of expression or thoughts do you have?
I think when I hear something like that, it's basically I have another opportunity to be with people I know, to be with friends,
Okay.
so those are some of the things that I think about.
Well, I think about enthusiasm. I think about the excitement I'm going to have when I see Jesus. Well, today on Making It Work, we have a very special guest and a friend, Mrs. Rupert. Welcome to Making It Work.
Thank you.
Well, we want you to tell your story, tell your testimony, share with us, what it was like growing up at Burns, and then there was a shift, and then you came home again. So we want Cheryl Rupert to tell her story.
Okay. I originally came to Detroit in 1982, and I was attended Burns. Mm-hmm. At that time, I had two little girls at the time, and Burns Avenue received me so well. I felt comfortable. It was like being at home. Mm-hmm. And so, until today, I feel like when I go home, I go to Burns. Uh-huh. Although I am at a different church, City Temple. Mm-hmm. But my life went on, and I was here. I was married at the time with my husband in the military.
Yes.
I had the two girls, and later on I had a son. Okay. During the time of my life, my daughter, my youngest daughter, joined the military. And at the time, my husband and my daughter both being in the military at the time of the war, one went to Iraq and the other one went to Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. And I was left at home, and I strayed away.
Mm-hmm. What do you mean you strayed away?
I strayed away from the church. Mm-hmm. I strayed away from God. Mm-hmm. And I strayed away from my upbringing, the things I was taught. Mm-hmm. My mother's a retired Seventh-day Adventist teacher. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like I was born in the church. Okay. But to get back to where I was, I guess I was drawn in with other things, meeting other people, and just trying to adapt to the change in my life. Mm-hmm. And I lost my way. Mm-hmm. I did things that I was taught not to do, was never interested in. Mm-hmm. But during that time, you know how the devil waits right at your weakest time, at your weakest moment, and then that's when he does his thing.
Of course.
Okay. So I lived in that worldly, crazy state of mind for years. Mm-hmm. I did. And so that's why you didn't see me. Mm-hmm. But I knew that I needed to stay somewhere affiliated and associated with the church. Yes. So I started going to City Temple. Yes. And I took my daughters and my son to City Temple, and then I strayed away from that. I pulled back from that. But the good thing about it, God never let me go.
Come on now.
Okay. God kept me where I needed to be. All I had to do was reach out.
Yes.
Reach out for him.
And I hear what you're saying, that, on these two different occasions, you strayed away.
Right.
What were some of the things that was pulling you? I heard that you just got involved with the worldly, I guess, events that happened in your life. But what were some of those things that caused you to stray away? What was pulling you away?
Okay, and the things that I was going through was marriage, problems and situations, and children. I am thousands of miles away from my home, and at that time I was the only.
And your home is where?
Louisiana.
Okay. Louisiana.
Shreveport, Louisiana.
Really?
And I was a member of Philadelphia Seventh-day Adventist Church in Shreveport, Louisiana. So my family that was there, we lost connection. I felt alone, and I felt lonesome. I felt like everything was on me to do at home. My husband was gone with the military 3 months, and that at a time. And just, he is not a Seventh-day Adventist, and I am. And it's hard sometimes when you have that difference in a relationship with your spouse. You know, you want them to be there, and there's so much to learn in the religion. We are always talking and teaching and discussing things that, you know, you just want your significant other there to hear what's going on. It's like good. Oh, this is good news. You need to be here so you can hear this, and it just escalated.
So did you get angry? I mean, because he wasn't there, and you felt that, you know, because he was not with you, that you didn't have any purpose? I mean...
No, I didn't get angry. I felt like I was alone because I was determined to bring my children to church and teach them, because my mom always told me and my sister that I don't have anything else to give you but God.
All right.
And so she made sure that we studied our Sabbath school lessons and read the Bible and remembered the memory verses and everything. But like in just growing up, people introduce things to you, but until you witness it for yourself and go through some things yourself, have trials, then you really don't understand them. So I thought I had a relationship with God because I had been through some things. I had been in the military and out and married and kids, and so I thought I was okay. But it wasn't until I lost my connection with God that I turned to other things, smoking, drinking, and worldly things, things that is totally different from my upbringing.
So where was your husband at? He was still in the military. I mean, did you like come together at times? I mean, he would come home or come to Detroit or wherever you were.
Oh, yes. Yes, he
Okay.
would come home. But even with that, I felt like I had to be the strong person in the keeping things going while he's away. As I said, he would be gone for like 3 months at a time.
That's a lot.
And it's hard on a relationship, especially when you have kids and different things, you know, just everyday life, financial situations. But doing it all, we struggled through it, and but I couldn't get it together for myself. You know, I just turned to the outside things for comfort.
So in the meantime, did you and your husband discuss the change that you were going through? I mean, did he recognize that there was a difference in you?
Yes, we did discuss, and we did counseling and everything. Everything turned out okay. But it was all on me then. You know, it was all my problem. Everything. I shouldered everything. I took everything. And so that's what happened.
The finances was coming from him.
Finance coming from him. I was working. I worked at the city of Detroit. I've been there all the time. And then I took on extra hours. And I started working at Cobo Hall. And which it just opened my world up to a whole lot of things. You know, meeting different people, mayor, governors, you know, you can imagine them having different events. And I worked, I was working so I didn't know how much I had worked until at the end of that year when we added up and did our taxes. And I couldn't believe it. I said, I worked that much?
My goodness.
See, so that's how out of control you can get when you don't stay focused on what's important. And what is and has been and should have been, to me, was my relationship with God. But through it all, God didn't let me go.
Let me ask you a question, sweetheart. When you would come to visit church and you would see us and you would see, the familiar faces, did you ever feel uncomfortable? Did you ever at any time say, I don't fit in here anymore? Or I've got to make some changes so that I can feel comfortable again. Did you ever think that?
I did. I felt uncomfortable, and I felt like it wasn't enough smiles. It wasn't friendly at that time. But even more than that, I knew the problem was not them. The problem was me. I changed. I saw it. When I looked in the mirror, I didn't like that person, So I was intact enough to realize that you are out of line. Talking to myself in the mirror. And I would just cry many days, many nights.
Really?
I would, yes.
And you think about the people who come in with the facade, the mask in church, on their jobs, and even in their homes, just trying to exist, not living, but existing. And it sounds like that's where you were, because you were crying, you were depressed. Were you depressed?
I was depressed and crying. And the thing about it is, nobody knew.
Nobody knew.
Let me follow up with something, and you actually just really made an emphasis on some of the things that people are trying to address with our military personnel. And here it is that you went through this process, but it became really a difficult task for you because your husband was away in the military. You were left with responsibilities. How do you think that a lot of spouses who are not, familiar with dealing with, say, the goings on, or dealing with all the things that's required to run a family, you think that maybe they may really experience some of the same difficulties that you experience?
Yes, I'm sure they do, because I was fortunate to go to a meal that they had for the dependents. And I spoke with a few of the ladies there and became quite friendly with them. And it's going on. It's in the homes. We still have to do, everything has to, remain the same, especially when you have children. It's hard. It's not easy. But I am so happy that the First Lady is addressing these concerns. And every time I hear her speak of the different programs that they have and all the things that they're starting to do, it makes me really happy, because we have to do all of the things. I can remember one time my husband was going off on a tour, and they had us all to sit down and they briefed us of what we are supposed to do while they are away. And it was everything. It was absolutely everything.
So they briefed you on paying bills and things like that?
Yes, they let us know that don't bother them while they're doing that, because they're in, dangerous situations or whatever their mission is or whatever their job is. So they want us to, just you carry the weight while they do that.
So while that was going on, let's bring it back to you coming back to Christ.
Okay.
You coming back to the Lord. Who was watching your children while you were out there doing your thing? What was going on with your children?
My daughter and my family. Actually, it was my husband's family mostly, because I really don't have much family here. And so they were there.
They knew what you were doing when you would drop the children off?
Some knew, and some would just come to my home, you know. And but they were supportive.
Okay.
And they didn't understand. They knew that I was out of character, but they didn't have an idea of how bad I was. My problem was more on the inside, just ripping, just, you know, destroying myself on the inside. My thoughts were not good. You know, it affected my body. And, you know, and I was sick physically.
So you became depressed.
I was depressed.
Yeah.
Did you go to counseling?
I went to counseling, but even with the counselor, she said, well, if you need anything, let me know. But it sounds like you have everything under control.
Where you didn't have everything under control.
I didn't have it under control. And as far as she was concerned, she probably did see that I had it under control, but she didn't realize that I had lost my best friend. I had lost my life, you know, because I was brought up loving God, teaching God, preaching God, living that relationship with God, and I didn't have it. I felt betrayed. I felt like, okay, I'm on my own. I have to deal with this. I can't bother him. I can't bother my husband with the things that's going on at home. So I carried them, and I held them.
So in all actuality, you felt that because your husband was away and because the military had talked to you about what to do, you couldn't contact your husband and, you know, tell him some of the things that you were feeling because you felt that would be too much weight for him to bear.
Right. It wasn't the thing that we were supposed to do. Anyway. And I can understand that, being in the military myself. I can understand he has.
You served in the military?
Yes, that's where we met.
That's where you met?
That's where I met.
What branch of the military?
The Army.
Is that right? So you met your husband in the military?
Yes.
Where were you stationed?
Fort Jackson, South Carolina. That's Columbia,
Okay.
South Carolina.
Okay.
Well, you know, the programs that are available now, you're right, there's a lot of programs for support families. But by you not really having those programs available to you, that made it even more difficult. You had to rely on family. And once again, you, as Kim indicated, your relationship with God had deteriorated. Did you feel like God had turned away from you?
I felt something like that. I felt, you know, just to try and describe it, I felt like, well, God, why? Why did you allow me to get in this relationship, allow me to marry this person, and then this happened? I wasn't in touch with things, but and then I was young. Actually, I was young. We were both young when we got married. We were both young when we went in the military. But I don't necessarily blame God, but I was a little disappointed that things didn't turn out the way I thought they should have, my life. Because when I was in college, I said I didn't have really big goals for myself. I wanted to be married. Excuse me. I wanted to be married, and I wanted to have 2 children, and I wanted to not work. But I did.
Stay at home mom.
I was going to be a stay-at-home mom.
Right. But let me say something before you go on. That is, and I want to say this to all the women and single parents and parents. Being a parent, being a wife, is a great calling, And we don't want to play that down because it's crucial to the upbringing of our children. So I think those are outstanding goals you have for yourself.
Yes, it is. It is a great goal. And if I had to work, I wanted to do that in order to help my husband.
Okay.
And that was the whole thing about the working part.
Okay.
But now that I'm older and I've been working, I actually like working outside the home.
Okay.
And when I was in the home, I enjoyed being at home with my children.
Yes.
And bringing them up. But I strayed away from the church, and I was at work one day. And I said, well, I'll go over and get something to eat. And as I was going through the skywalk at the Coleman and Young Municipal Center,
Located in Detroit, Michigan.
Detroit, Michigan, as I was going over to the milliner, I saw one of the members at City Temple, Hattie Logan.
Oh, Hattie.
I love her.
Yes.
And I often say she saved my life.
Praise the Lord.
Because I told her, she said, where have you been? She said, it's so good to see you. And she hugged me as a welcome. I miss you and I love you. Where have you been? It was like a family member being away,
Yes.
you know, for a long time. And I received that.
Yes.
I received that love. And I said, Hattie, I have been through so much. And I am not right now. I have this problem, that problem, this is going on, and that is going on. She said, well, I tell you what. Bring all of that to church.
Yes.
And come back.
Come on.
She said, because that is where you can get healed. That's where we can love you and get you back to where you need to be. And just bring it to the church. Bring it to the Lord and leave it there. And that's what I did.
So with that feeling of lovingness, that connected you to come back to City Temple.
Yes.
And then what happened after that? Because I'm going to tell you, Cheryl is on fire for the Lord.
Yes.
She leads out with the praise team. You will see her. If no one else stands up and shouts in church, all I have to do is look to the right side of me. And this woman she's shouting, she's praising, doing everything but running up and down the aisle. I'm just waiting for that. But what is it that gives you all this fire and excitement?
It's the love and the relationship, excuse me, that I finally got back and renewed. Actually, it's a new relationship. It's a new relationship with God.
How soon after seeing
Christ.
Hattie did you come back?
It took a while.
It did.
It took months.
Months. Okay.
I was so, to tell you how low I was, I couldn't come on my own. I would ask my daughters, help me to get back to church. I need to go. I need to go there. And I never, ever thought in my life that I would be in this place. You know, I never thought that I could go there. And that's why anytime I see anybody come in church, and I know I haven't seen them in a while,
Yes.
I go to them and I tell them, how are you?
Yeah.
Come on, I missed you.
Yeah.
Come back.
Yeah.
Come back. And I'm in a position now, working at the finance assessor's office to help people. I see people that I haven't seen in years. And I've seen members, some of our members.
Yes.
And I've challenged them
Yes.
to come back. And I've told them that I miss you. Come back. I don't know what the problem was.
Yes.
Some of them discuss things with me,
Yes.
and some don't.
And some
But
don't.
I feel that with prayer, they will be back.
Let me ask this question. Okay, you know, things are going pretty well for you at this point. But what happened when your husband returned from the military? Because he was in Iraq, is that correct?
He was in Afghanistan.
He was in Afghanistan.
He was in Afghanistan and also in Cuba. But to put it quickly, he was not the same.
Okay.
Our relationship wasn't the same. And so there again, I have to leave that in God's hand. And I believe and I trust that God will take care of that.
So now, you know, you're at a point in your life, as Kim indicated earlier, where you're on fire for the Lord. You know, God is going to bring everything back. How's your relationship with the children now?
That's good. They are happy. They've been very supportive. And after everything came out and my life was on the billboard, so to speak, they realized that they needed to help Mom. It's their time to step up and help.
Wow.
And so they did. And they were there for me. And I'm still praying in that issue also.
So at this point now, you know, it seems like God is, you know, just like grabbed hold of you and said, now, you know, welcome back home. And, you know, it seems like you're filled with the Holy Spirit. You're motivated to tell people about God. Like you said, even on your job, you're telling people about Christ and you're getting them, you're trying to encourage them to return to church. That's something really positive, and you're motivated. So, you know, do you plan on continuing to do that outreach?
Oh, yes, of course. And I made a promise to God that if I get back in there and start over again and get my life back, that I would praise your name. Amen.
You know.
And that's what I'm doing, and that is what I'm going to continue to do. And more outreach to people because there are sad souls here.
Yes.
You know, a lot is going on, and we're needed right now. God needs us to let people know that He's there for you. God is here for you. All you have to do is ask. That's it, and that's it. So I have a goal, and I have a mission, and my mission is to tell everybody that I can how good God is, and how much He is waiting and happy to help us, and that's my story.
That's great. That's a fantastic story.
Fantastic story.
Especially you're doing things in the church. You're singing. You're part of it's the hospitality and ushers. And I mean, I see you there, and you have such a smile on your face when I come in. That's motivating. You know, that lets people know that you're full of the Holy Spirit and that you're legitimate. And I think that's what your story means, going through trials and tribulation, because helping some of the people that are experiencing some of the difficulties as military personnel, that is really meaningful, that you may be placed in a position where you can encourage someone that is in that type of environment. It's a difference, even though there's help available to them, it's still a difference.
It is.
Well, we want to thank you, Cheryl, for being with us and telling your story. We were truly moved, and we know our viewers have been moved. I'm Dr. Kim Logan-Nowlin.
I'm Arthur Nolan.
And continue to make it work. God bless you.